Thanks for tuning into the Replatform podcast sponsored by Amplience and Klaviyo. Today it's just myself, James Gerd, and we have a really interesting guest again, you'll be happy to know. So first of all, thank you for those who are tuning back in as a regular listener, and a warm welcome if this is your first time. We hope you like it. Do subscribe, I can't even say the word, to get new episode alerts, and we'd love a like on YouTube, Spotify or Apple. So our topic today is automating digital asset management and improving site performance with our guests from Cloudinary. So let me just set up the key things to talk about and then I'll introduce you. So we'll be talking about key DAM-related issues faced by e-commerce businesses, the impact of digital asset management systems on speed and performance, and also internal processes, the use of AI in digital asset management and integrations of e-com platforms. So let's start and introduce our first guest, Tal, who's the Senior Partner Manager at Cloudinary. How are you doing, Tal?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Do you want to just give our listeners a flavour for what Cloudinary is and also what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having us. I've been a regular listener of this podcast, so it's great to be on this side for a change. It's really good. So we're grateful for the opportunity. I've been in the e-commerce space for 15 years, and I've been working in companies like Criteo, Pitney Bowes, before joining Cloudinary. So I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to e-commerce platform and the whole tech stack, and been trying to learn from guys like you and Paul throughout the years. And in terms of Cloudinary, what we're doing, so we are an API-first media layer that helps retailers and other businesses to consolidate, to optimize, to deliver the rich media to the end user. And we're doing it through different solutions that we have in-house, including DAM, which you mentioned, so digital asset management and programmable media solutions to take care of all the transformations and the dynamic media. And we're working not just with retailers, but we're working with different verticals. And we have around 800 enterprise clients worldwide, and founded 10 years ago by 3 developers in Israel, and being API first well before the Mac Alliance started. So we were doing all this Mac composable thing well before, and we stayed true to our core up to this day.
Excellent, thanks very much. I love it. All the terminology that now has to exist around Mac and composable and headless. It's like a bingo scorecard for e-commerce. Thanks. Thanks for the introduction. Zuzana, over to you. Give people a flavour of what you do at Cloudinary, please.
So my name is Zuzana Samaj. I'm Senior Solutions Engineer here at Cloudinary. I'm here for a little bit over 3 years now, and I work with all the prospects that are coming to Cloudinary, and they would like to find out more about the product. They would like to run a proof of concept, or maybe they just need a technical demonstration, technical conversation before they decide Cloudinary is the right fit for them. So I will work together with our sales team to get those projects, get those proof of concepts up and running, and then, of course, see the results and make sure that they are positive.
Excellent. Yeah, so important. I mean, I spend so much time telling people to get proper proof of concepts before making decisions rather than just generic pitches. So it's good. We've got a nice blend of commercial and technical skills for our audience today. So you ready for some questions?
Yes, fire away.
Excellent. So Tal, I'll start with you if that's okay. How have you and the business seen the challenges for e-commerce organizations in respect to digital asset management change over the past few years?
Yeah, definitely. So there have been quite a lot of challenges, and one of the main challenges for businesses when it comes to e-commerce is how to fulfill the full life cycle of the assets, from photo shoot to the point of delivery, and to the measurement and analysis, what kind of impact it has. So a modern DAM's job to do is to overcome these challenges. It would need to have an intuitive user interface and friendly UI for the end users, the ones which are using it, because it's meant to make the work simpler and more straightforward than it used to be before. To manage the users, to offer the different modules like workflows, like presets, like templating, which I'm sure we'll speak later. All the off-the-shelf integrations, that could connect with. Strong reporting to help, make creative decisions, and also editors for quick localized content to make sure that, it's a smooth editing capabilities. And to top it up, the ability to scale production by automation and AI, because you have bigger catalogs, you want to go international, you want to do cross-border, etc. How do you manage all of that? You cannot just rely on manual work because it takes time, it costs, it's money. So automation is quite essential. And these are the kind of challenges and what the DAM is trying to sort out for the businesses who are using it.
Yeah, I think the manual to automated is a key challenge. A lot of larger organizations have survived on some insanely sophisticated manual processes, but they're creaky as hell when you try and scale it in a digital environment. So yeah, I'm not surprised you've seen that. And Zuzana, from your point of view, as doing pre-sales technical support, what technical issues are you typically seeing e-commerce teams come into Cloudinary with, and what sort of problems are they trying to fix?
Yeah, so there are quite a few issues that are handled manually right now. So if you have a photo shoot, you would like to get assets to the website as quickly as possible. And this is not happening if you have to write a brief, send the brief to the agency, or somebody internal is creating the brief and then executing on it, converting assets from, TIFF or PNG to JPEGs and so on. These are all the manual steps that can be replaced by some technology, and they don't have to be done manually. Also, cropping to the different aspect ratios, we can analyze assets and we can find out where exactly should be the best crop. So we can do it with AI. And if we are going to replace all the manual tasks and do it with AI, of course, in many cases, when we talk to designers, they freak out, like AI can't replace what we are doing. Of course not. But if it's going to do good enough job in 95% cases, and you have to adjust only those 5% cases, how much time you spend on doing that manually right now and how much time you can save. So that's usually the use case and the most common workflow why customers come to us and they want to automate and they want to do something with the technology instead of doing that manually.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, because I've had a few clients who work in very specific product niches like equestrian, and they have an absolute fear of auto cropping of assets because it can completely screw the focal point of the product or the image from the wrong part of the horse. So do you find a lot of businesses, they focus on that part of proof of concept up front? Is that the bit where typically you have to spend more time demonstrating that it works?
Yes. So this is one of the key features or key functionalities many of our customers are using. And we talk about images right now, but we can do auto cropping even for videos. So for images, we run the heat map, we find out what are the objects, we will crop it to the object. You can even define you want to crop to the face or, the main object or whatever else. But usually Gravity Automatic is the most common setup because you want to let AI decide what is the best crop. But for videos, we are able to run the heat map throughout the whole length of the video. So if you are preparing a video which was recorded in landscape mode, you want to get it to social media, to Facebook, Instagram stories, you want to get it to aspect ratio 9:16. And the power of Cloudinary is that we can also take that video, we can run the heat map throughout the whole length of the video, and we will move the crop as your model is moving or whatever is on the video, and we will provide the best possible result.
Interesting. Now, I didn't realize that was part of the feature set, the video piece from different aspects. Very interesting. So, Tal, before we get into some more of the technical elements around performance, I'd love to chat about the business case, because a lot of people listening who haven't got a DAM or have only got basic capabilities provided through like existing technology or e-com platforms, they often struggle with the business case because it sounds great, but there's a cost. How do you justify it? And some are still happy with old folder systems and like them. There's some amazing SharePoint setups that are doing this at the moment. What difference can you validate that a DAM makes? Like what is the business case that you help customers build?
Yeah, so definitely it's a very good question. So there are several elements. So, if you are a small startup and you're just selling your products in the local markets, have no plans to grow, to develop omni-channel capabilities, most likely you will not need a DAM and you can rely on the current setup that you have in place. As you grow your business, your tech needs to evolve as well, because you need to meet, the customer expectations, and you want to delight and surprise your customers. And whether it's the ability to unify and consolidate the different media assets, especially if you introduce video, because traditionally the retailers rely mainly on media, so on static images. And as soon as you have video in place, then you need something a bit more sophisticated, as Zuzana just explained previously. Also, in order to use automation, how would you do it? When you have those SharePoints and stuff, it's really good to do it manual work. But if you want to scale, if you want to go international, if you want to grow cross-border, you have to get some sort of automation. And I will give you a very good example, what a DAM can actually sort out. So imagine you're a fashion retailer. I'm sure you worked from your time in House of Fraser and elsewhere, and you have different catalogs, and you have to create an asset, an image, a variation for each product that you have based on the device, based on the channel, based on the browser. How do you do it? With the DAM, you can actually have one asset with many variations. So you don't need to create multiple number of images. You can actually have one and on the fly do the different manipulations, the transformations, to get it to the end user, to deploy the overlays, to do the background changes and removals, to do all of the beautiful stuff, and to make sure it's optimized in size. And that's why you need a DAM. If you're a small business, probably there won't be a use case for you. But as you grow, as you have omni-channel needs and capabilities, that's when you need to start considering it, of course.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about scale and size, because a small business with very few SKUs could handle that manually. It's not fun, but you could do it. But you're right. I've definitely, I think that's, I've seen it in a few clients where the business case is an efficiency saving. So it's an opportunity cost model, basically, of actually we'll save X hours per week. That will then be spent on, value add revenue driving activities. And that justifies the cost of the license rather than looking at increments revenue. So interesting point. Right, let's drive into a bit more around performance stuff. So Zuzana, we all know e-commerce teams are obsessed with speed and performance. People talk about Core Web Vitals. There's all sorts of metrics and tools to measure speed. What measurable impact have you seen your solution having on e-commerce performance?
So in many cases, there is quite a significant impact of what we can do, because first of all, we start with analyzing of a website of a customer who reaches out to us. And the main objective there is to find out, are they compressing assets? If yes, are they compressing them too much? Because first thing we want to do, we want to deliver assets as light as possible, but at the same time, assets have to maintain their visual quality. So because of that, we will always deliver assets in the best possible format based on your end user, and the quality compression will be applied, but at the same time, we make sure that it won't hurt the visual quality. So some assets can be compressed 60%, some 80%. We know that one number doesn't work for all. We will do it depending on an asset with the focus on the visual quality. And the impact of this we have seen to our customers' websites is different. For some customers, for example, Guess EU, we had 40% decrease of page load times, and it also had impact on increase on conversions on product listing and product detail pages. And sometimes we have customers who see increase in the visual quality of their website. So people are staying for a longer time on their website because they like images and they like the visual quality. So it can have different impacts, really depends on what the customer is doing right now. Sometimes they are compressing, but it's just too much of a compression, which is hurting their visual quality.
Yeah, I've seen that on Retina screens where suddenly pixelation looks really crap, and premium brands are definitely not happy with that. I'd love to know. So you talked about you alternate the compressions to suit the different device requirements. How do you benchmark the visual quality? What's the definition? What's like the minimum? Is it based on pixel size? How would you benchmark that?
So we will analyze every single asset. We are checking the visual quality based on finding out our colors changed. Based on our compression, we would never change the colors, and that's mainly important for e-commerce. Then we are checking the edges. Are edges becoming blurry? We never want to get to the level where edges would become blurry. Of course, you can take different quality settings. So we have quality automatic. You can do quality automatic best, quality automatic good, quality automatic eco, and low, of course. But we usually recommend the good option, which is good enough for most of our customers. And how we do it, if you have an asset asset, which is, for example, a product image of some product, and it has solid white background, of course, we will probably be able to do the compression a little bit higher because there is the background, which is solid color, and we can apply more compression there. But if you provide a lifestyle asset where you have very difficult background, let's say the fire, or it can be a wood, we really want to make the visual quality great. So because of that, we won't compress the asset as much as we would compress, for example, the product image.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. How does it cope with edge cases? Because some people might have lifestyle images that are blurred deliberately. So how does it have the intelligence to tell the difference, or can it not do that because it's just too complex to automate?
Well, we work with what we get into the digital asset management. So, of course, if somebody uploads an asset which has been blurred deliberately because you want to have this asset blurred, we'll find out because that's the original. We can't improve the visual quality, unfortunately. So if you upload assets that are not nice and the visual quality is not great, we won't make it better probably. But because of that, we try to work with all the customers and remind them to upload high resolution originals. And of course, if something is blurred, we won't make it sharp.
I was about to say the reliance on every one business constantly maintaining 100% quality of its image uploads. If only they did.
What is Amplience? In a word, it's freedom. The freedom to build a digital experience as limitless as your vision. Create, preview, schedule, and manage all your content in one easy place. Find out more at amplience.com. Amplience. Experience freedom.
And another question for you, Zuzana, is image libraries that businesses have are often a complete mess and totally unsearchable. And I've seen this in CMSs where it's just like, oh, Christ, how can I find this asset? Because everyone's got a different naming convention. I'd love to know how your system uses metadata to help classify and sort. And then we'll move on to the AI generated tags afterwards. So if you could talk us through metadata usage and classification of assets, that'd be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So when we have the metadata, of course, we would like to get as much metadata as possible. And we allow customers who have metadata because they can provide a lot of information about assets. We can make it searchable. It really nicely demonstrates the search capabilities of Cloudinary. You can use different tags that can be either AI generated or you can upload them manually. With regards to structured metadata, you can define your own structure. For example, category, woman, dresses, summer dresses can be different levels of categories. We can create different conditions between these metadata. So that structured metadata, we fully rely on our customers to tell us what the structure should be, and we'll just import it to Cloudinary. We have either the user interface that can import it or also metadata API. So we will help customers to create this structure during onboarding. And then we also get all the information from EXIF files from every file that is coming together with an asset, and we call it embedded metadata on Cloudinary side. So embedded metadata is in Cloudinary, can be edited, but we make it searchable. So if you are searching for assets, you have everything in EXIF files. Don't worry, you'll find it in Cloudinary because it's there. And one more option is also contextual metadata. And in contextual metadata, you can create, for example, a description or any sort of free text that can make your image or video searchable. For many of our video customers, for example, transcription of a video is a great example of contextual metadata because it can make your video library searchable based on what is being said in the video. And that's quite a powerful thing.
Yeah, that is, I guess, especially like specific quotes or topics that are discussed where you don't want to have hundreds and hundreds of tags associated to it. Interesting. And you talked about AI generated tags rather than manually created. Can you talk through some use cases, provide a few examples of what they could be?
So, for example, we have different add-on integrations. So let's say what Google auto tagging or Amazon auto tagging is providing. We can take their add-on and we can use it in Cloudinary. So that's one option. But these tags tend to be very general in many cases. So, for example, you don't want to have a tag that something is a jewelry. You want to see if it's a necklace or if it's earrings and so on. So because of that, we also are developing our own AI tools that will tell exactly for different items what those are. For fashion, our AI tools are quite advanced, so we can really detect items with very high confidence rate of if those items are really there. And we can help our customers to tag automatically. And of course, many of our customers are in fashion, even though not all. So for fashion, the algorithm is the most advanced. But at the same time, we don't only tag assets. We also understand some customers just don't have metadata and they don't want to tag it all. They don't want to have these general tags. Inside of our digital asset management, we have currently in alpha visual search. It means you don't have to provide any metadata at all, and you will still be able to find the assets. Or, except for visual search, for example, I'm searching for a bicycle. It's anywhere in my assets, but I will find all the bicycles. You can also search for similar assets. So I see an asset, which is blue dress. I will click on the asset inside of digital asset management, and I will search for similar assets, and I will find all the blue dresses inside of the DAM. So this is the functionality which is not available to all the customers. But if anyone would like to have it enabled, then we do it on a one-to-one basis because it's still in alpha. But it's great functionality. I love to demo that. And with many customers who are interested in searching and finding assets, we usually enable it for them to test.
Yeah, the AI tagging is really interesting for me because I know it's still relatively in its infancy compared to other like attribution systems, but the ability to take an image and add deeper attributes to drive things like filters and search is really, really interesting. So I imagine, you've got your own AI, you've built it, so you're training that data set yourselves specifically for fashion then?
Yes, specifically for fashion, we have our own AI, but we are also working with a lot of our customers on custom build models. So, for example, a fitness studio had a requirement to recognize all the fitness instructors on the assets they are uploading. And of course, Amazon Celebrity Detection won't do a good enough job because they are not celebrities, so they are not in this database. So what we can do, we can take a folder where these customers will manually tag someone, and then we can recognize those people on all the other assets. And we are using exactly Amazon technology for that, but we are customizing that and we are adding more examples from customers. So this is just a nice example how AI can be used even for custom use case like this.
Excellent, thank you. And Tal, I've got a question related to this and the services that Cloudinary provides around it, because for some businesses, their data is in a mess, and you've got to get the data in a good structure before you import it to your new system. Otherwise, you put mess in there. What's your process for helping people through that, so that if somebody's not experienced in data cleaning to import into like a new DAM, the data has a good structure and it's ready to push in?
I think it's probably a question more for Zuzana, if you could take this one.
Yeah, so we work with many of our customers during onboarding process. When they become Cloudinary digital asset management customer, they have their dedicated DAM customer success manager. And this person is running workshops with customer about what they should think of. Should they think about cleaning process? Some customers have to, some don't. So in that case, we just do the migration. But we basically help customers to get them through the process of cleaning, what they should do on their side. Then when assets are already being uploaded, hopefully it's already all clean, but we also can, based on p-hash and many other things, find out if there are any duplicates, or based on the public ID, based on the name of the asset, we can find out if there is any duplicates being uploaded. So yes, for all the customers, we will get them through very rich onboarding process that will provide them with all the tips and tricks how to do that.
Cool. Well, I'm not sure who wants to take this next question. So I had a question around content workflows. I know on the website you talk about automation, improving content workflow processes. We talked a little bit about it. Which of the content workflows do you most see businesses struggle with? And then how does Cloudinary help deliver improved automation? I know we've covered the compression, etc. I'm thinking about the wider content workflows of content uploading, management, editing, etc.
Mm-hmm. So the most common use case is that customers would like to upload just one original, which is as high resolution as possible. And they would like to get it, for example, to the product detail page in Amazon Marketplace in aspect ratio 1:1 as JPEG less than 2 megabytes large. in normal world, this workflow would take them a couple of days in order to get it look great. And that's something what Cloudinary can automate. So we look at the desired aspect ratio, we do automatic cropping, then we probably compress the quality, we deliver the best possible format to end users, or sometimes when format is requested, we can also deliver, let's say, JPEG or whatever is asked for. And we can do it by setting up the set of transformations. So if you have all your large PNGs inside of your media library right now, and you want to get them, I don't know, to Amazon, you can do it just, adding some transformations into the URL. And if you add it to 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 URLs, we don't care. It's like you can do it in scale right now, just add it there and it's delivered in your desired format.
Cool. So I guess for those who are new to this process, so what you're doing is you're taking your master image, you're automatically creating presets for it based on criteria of what different devices or channels need, and then you've got a unique URL to service that URL, right? So that's how it's working. Yeah, it's just a unique URL in your database that you can push out that URL to your relevant marketing channel.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. And a linked question to all of this is e-commerce platform integrations. Which systems do you currently have in your ecosystem? I know you're part of the Mac Alliance, and there's quite a few leading tech vendors in there. Are you focused on Mac Alliance vendors, or do you have broader proven like integrations and connections with other systems?
So we're proud members of the Mac Alliance, but we take a broader approach, and we have both pre-built integrations which our team has built, and in some cases some partner-built integrations. So we are integrated with all the major e-commerce platforms like Salesforce Commerce Cloud, SAP, Adobe, Shopify. Also working closely with Commerce Tools and BigCommerce. Working as well very closely with the likes of Contentful and Content Stack on the CMS, and PIM solution like Akinio, and front end like Vue Storefront. So we have a whole range of different integrations. And to top it up, to make sure that the retailer or the merchant have a lot of flexibility, we also have a lot of other APIs and SDKs out of the box. So one really good use case is when it comes to our Upload API, which is available. You can also make a headless DAM, and you can integrate it into a CMS. So you take the media library and you can put it into the CMS, which is really beautiful. And of course, we are looking to add and to integrate into many more platforms as we go along. But the idea is to give flexibility, that we can be integrated with any tech stack, whatever the client will be using. We'll be able to give them the flexibility to choose what's best route for integration for them.
And typically, what I know you said over 800 merchants worldwide, and there's going to be a wide range of tech stacks and uses. What's the most common use? Is it people are using the API and they're pulling through the assets direct from Cloudinary into the page when it's requested by the browser, or are people generally using it to push the optimized data from you into a CMS or an e-commerce platform? Like, what's the most common setup?
So this really depends on what the commerce is already using. We have customers who build their own CMS, and because of that, they appreciate Cloudinary approach that we can integrate with anything. Many of those customers don't use any predefined CMS. But if anyone is already using Contentful, if anyone is already using WordPress or anything else, they will just use Cloudinary plugin, because that's nice and easy way how to add transformations. You don't have to deal with any change of the URLs. The plugin or module will deal with that for you. So really depends. We have customers on both sides.
Okay, cool. Yes, from a commercial point of view, Tal, people want to know what is a typical implementation timeframe and cost. And these questions are always hard to answer because it is how long's a piece of string. But if you took a simple business, with not thousands of SKUs, and they needed to implement, how long are we talking? Are we talking you can be up and running in 6 to 8 weeks? Is it 3 to 4 months?
Yeah. So again, as you mentioned, that's $1 million question. So in terms of implementation timeframe, it will vary on a client by client basis. Of course, what they use, whether they use existing integrations, whether they go full API, but it can be typically from a couple of days. If it's a very simple use case and, everything is ready and there's not a lot of work, they can go and be up and running within a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And sometimes, if it's a really complex composable project, it could take a couple of months, but it's not like doing like a re-platforming or anything, which is overcomplicated. We aim to simplify the process because the customer would need to spend more time, on implementing other, more heavy technologies, so it can be from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, can be 4 to 8 weeks, depends on the client.
And from a costing point of view, how does the cost model work? Because again, the exact cost is going to be completely variable depending on scale and size and number of assets and usage. But yeah, how does it work?
So the cost again will be determined on what kind of solutions the client will be using. If they're using just our digital asset management, or if they use our programmable media solution, etc., and what kind of bandwidth they need, it's in terms of the media usage. So we have clients who are paying, license fees in the 5 figures, and we have in the 6 figures. It really depends. It really varies, but we are really competitive, and we are about, giving, the return on investment, which not lots of technologies you can go and say, I invested this amount of dollars in a product and it gave me this. With Cloudinary, because you can measure the performance, you can manage the uplift, conversion rate, page load times. We know that we give on average 8 times, eightfold, return on investment for the clients who choose to work with us. So we have a very good, ROI when it comes to it. Plus, we're saving the time for all the internal teams, which they don't have to do a lot of the manual work that they had to do otherwise. So there are two elements for it, not in terms of the cost, but in terms of also the savings and the efficiencies which it brings to the business.
And we still haven't covered what the cost could be, though. What would be an entry point? Because obviously some businesses do like free versions, the freemium to get you in. Is there like, if you take a non-enterprise, what would be like an entry point price? Is it on the DAM side? Is it per month? Is it an annual license?
Yeah, so we have a self-service solution, for startup and for small businesses, which they pay like $100 a month, and they get, certain functionality, and they can use it and they can play. And if they want to upgrade to the enterprise, level, so then, it's going to go to few $1,000s per month, and it again depends on what's the usage, what do you need from us? But we're not really an expensive solution, and, we have really, really good value and very good, retention in terms of our existing client base.
And I've got one final question around the product, and I guess Zuzana probably might be more for you. Is we talked about the AI Alpha, which sounds really interesting. What's the roadmap focus for the rest of this year and into 23? Like, what new features could merchants look forward to?
So there are definitely a couple of things on the developer side. So as Tal mentioned, we have this programmable media solution, which is purely for developers without user interface. You have access to all the APIs. We can generate, for example, videos with different color variations. So imagine you are selling lipsticks. You will record the video of a model with a lipstick once, and then we are able to change colors of this lipstick on the video as you are launching new color variants of this lipstick. So you don't have to every time go through the photo shoot, and you don't always have to create a new video from scratch. So that's maybe in terms of AI and generation of video. Another thing which we are working on, of course, are new image formats. We have our own researcher group. It's our CTO office, where they are working on defining new formats. So for example, JPEG XR and so on. So because of that, we think that customers shouldn't really care about what's coming next, what will be the next format, what should we support, what will be supported in this browser. We want to take this offload from them, and we want to deal with that. So we have our own research group which is working on that. So that's more on like developer side. But when it comes to digital asset management side, we are dealing with all types of media. So we mentioned images and videos, but for example, 360 files or 3D files, you can store them in Cloudinary, and you can attach metadata to it, you can make it searchable, and at the same time, you're able to preview, for example, 3D files inside of the digital asset management without a need for your users to have any sort of 3D model software. And that's quite powerful because you want to create experiences for your customers as live as possible. So because of that, you're adding 360 spins and 3D files. It would be very unfortunate if you had to buy a different digital asset management system, especially for these files. You don't want to do that. You want to store it all in one place. And that's where our digital asset management is moving.
Cool. Yeah, I really like that AI use case coming through of being able to dynamically change aspects of a video so that you could roll that out. That's really interesting. And is there a committed time frame for that, or is that just it's in development at the moment?
Mm-hmm. So changing aspect ratio of videos, really depending on what's happening on the video, that's live functionality. That's what we are selling right now, and we have many customers using it. Yeah,
sorry, I meant like the color, the you said the ability to change the color of a lipstick, for example. That sounds really interesting. Did I understand that correctly? That's in the roadmap, but not live yet.
We already have a couple of examples from our CTO team. It's not a live functionality, which you will find in our documentation yet. But if we have a customer who is interested in this, we will create examples for them. And just by having more customers interested, it will make it to our product, hopefully as soon as possible. But we have to get that group of customers who are going to look at it and find out, oh, it looks nice. We would like to use this.
Amazing. Sounds like a really cool feature to bring to bear. I can imagine why the beauty sector would be interested in that. Definitely, the reduction in production costs would be amazing.
Yeah, we hope so. That's why we are doing that.
Yeah, fantastic. That's all the questions. I really enjoyed that. I've learned a good few new things, which is always useful on these episodes. That's why we love doing them. So Tal, Zuzana, thanks ever so much for taking the time. If anybody's got a question, maybe they want some clarification or they want to probe a bit deeper about how you might work in their particular use case, how do they reach out?
So they can reach out to us by email, I guess, on tal.ofer@cloudinary.com or LinkedIn if it's more comfortable. And Zuzana?
Yeah, I'm Zuzana at Cloudinary, but I'm Zuzana with 2 Z's, so Zuzana, which makes it a little bit complicated. But I'm on emails as well, or LinkedIn, anywhere you can find me. Yeah.
Do some general internet stalking. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Look, thanks both. And also thanks everyone for listening. Again, I hope you enjoyed the episode as well. Keep your ear open for the next episode. We drop one every Tuesday. Do subscribe, and we'd love a rating on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Until next week, everybody. For more information on this topic, head over to replatform.fm for our audio podcasts. To discuss a project, or if you'd like to chat about any of the topics covered in this episode in more detail, please reach out to myself, James Gerd, or my co-host Paul Rogers via LinkedIn and Twitter. Thanks again for listening, and keep your ears peeled for the next episode.